Welcome back. Now, still on climate sustainability, we see the mini-grid space continues to attract a lot of attention from development partners in Africa, and commitments are being made to fast-track climate-resilient economic growth in rural sub-Saharan Africa. Also, Husk Power Systems have announced the Africa's Sunshot initiative with a goal of having 2,500 net zero mini-grids operating in off-grid and weak-grid communities in the region within 5 years. Olu Arike, Nigeria Country Director, Husk, joins us. Good afternoon, Olu. It's good to have you on the program.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me.
So why is this important? Why are private sector players, why are private sector mini-grids key to ensuring 100% electrification of rural Africa?
Well, we've just had a recent event 2 nights ago where our national grid once again failed. It hadn't failed for over a year. But that was a reminder that decentralization and central grids, decentralization, albeit the failure with central grids across sub-Saharan Africa, has to be the way to go. Given that we are a huge diesel generation economy, it is quite expensive and polluting, and we are still living over 600 million of our people without electricity. The World Bank and the IEA have continued to unequivocally mention that mini-grids are the most cost-effective solution for addressing this huge gap that our people in rural areas continue to have. And without going this way, we would continue to hold back our people and our country from achieving true economic potential. So therefore, private sector mini-grids are the most cost-effective way for ensuring that we electrify all of rural Africa and allow them to achieve true economic potential.
So where we are today in terms of the mini-grid industry in Africa, what progress have we made?
I mean, we are really way off track. SDG 7, which is the goal essentially dedicated to achieving universal energy access, and what we need to continue to do, we are still off track. But the mini-grid industry has been identified as the key solution for us to achieve SDG 7. But we are still off track, right? Industry and the mini-grid space needs to essentially begin to look at how to scale 10x, not 1x, not 2x, not 5x, but 10x. And we will need to power over 300 million people in sub-Saharan Africa by 2030. This will require over 150,000 mini-grids at a total cost of over 90 billion. That is a lot, looking at those numbers. And at our current pace, only about maybe 10 to 12, 15,000 new mini-grids can be constructed to electrify just 40 million people, where we have over 600 million people without power. Without that intentionality of trying to drive scale by 10x at least, then we'll still have a problem in our hands with a lot of our brothers and sisters around sub-Saharan Africa still without power. This is why Husk has also announced our Sunshot initiative, committing over 2,500 mini-grids to be built over the next 5 years and attracting over $500 million in private capital to be able to achieve that.
Okay, so you talked about attractive investment, but I do know that many grids face a major problem, which is significant subsidies. They do need subsidies to be able to, operate, especially because they're not really financially viable. Look at the fact that if you talk about the rural electrification, not a lot of these people have, the purchasing power to pay for this electricity, or some of them don't really need electricity much. They probably just use bulbs in their houses. So how do you think investors are going to be able to recoup their investments that they make in this mini-grid industry in Africa? How do you plan that, or what's your projection for recouping investment and profitability for those investing, and also ensuring that power is stable in these rural areas?
I think first, like the Nigerian situation where the regulations have been clear and have been private sector driven, first that has to happen across other parts of sub-Saharan Africa. This will help this industry and incentivize more private capital to begin to enter these markets at scale. Then we also need to look at logistics and the supply chain and increasing local manufacturing and assembly, because a lot of the components that we require to generate power are not manufactured in the continent. Then we also need to look at local currency financing mechanisms that are cheap and affordable and long term. That is the way we can then say it is, such patient capital can help to begin to minimize the cost for rural dwellers and make this power affordable. There also needs to be collaboration and an ecosystem that agrees to come together to work for the rapid development of project pipelines. This has to happen with various stakeholders across regulatory and policy as well. So that is the way that we can ensure that scale and the affordability and provision of this reliable power to rural dwellers happens. Without these things, then we might still be, looking at a long term for achieving these rural electrification goals.
Thank you so much, Oluwarike. I do hope this project, gets fast-tracked really quickly, because Africa does need this electricity and we can't always stay in the dark. Thank you so much, Oluwarike, Nigeria Country Director for HUSK, for joining us on Business Incorporated.